Right, trombone players. This is your video about how to properly put some slide cream onto your slide. So if you're ever playing and your slide becomes really kind of sticky or it feels really hard to move easily from one slide position to the next, definitely time for some slide cream. There's a couple of different types of slide cream or slide grease that I would recommend. First one is the old, like tried and true, original, just the slide cream itself. Comes in a little tub like this. And this one, it's a little bit messy, but it definitely does the trick and it works the best as well. It lasts the longest. This you just put a little bit onto your finger and slide it along the inner slide of your trombone and kind of spread it around. But a lot of times too, you will actually get some slide lubricant that comes sometimes in a tube like this with a little applicator that you just squeeze it out onto your slide and then you can move your slide to spread it around. I wouldn't recommend using slide oil. If you do have slide oil, it will work, yes, but it won't last very long and you'll have to reapply it quite often. And sometimes it tends to get a little bit sticky as well the more you put on. So it has a tendency to kind of gunk up your slide a little bit too. So I would try to stay away from slide oil if you can, but definitely the slide lubricant. These things are actually made for trombone slide, and then the slide cream is always your best bet. Not tuning slide grease, that's different, but make sure it actually says trombone cream or trombone slide cream or slide grease or slide lubricant, so that it's for your actual slide. So this is not time to be using things like valve oil. Those are for valve instruments. You need something that actually is made for your trombone slide, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to get you to do is you're going to actually take your slide off of your trombone. So you're going to undo your slide lock and you're going to take your whole outer slide completely off of your trombone. So now I've got my inner slide and then my outer slide. I'm going to put my outer slide on the floor carefully so it's not going to fall. And you always want to be careful when your slide is off because if these parts of your inner slide get bent or dented in any way, your slide is not going to work. It's going to get stuck. It's not going to work properly. Things are going to rub together inside. So you need to be very careful when your slide is off of that inner slide, not to bend it or drop it or dent it. Okay, next thing you're going to do is you're going to get just any old cloth. This is like a reusable dishcloth. Sometimes it's called a J cloth. And you're going to wipe off those parts of your inner slide. You can see I've got some old slide cream on here. So I'm going to clean it off and really just give it a really good scrub on each of those parts of your inner slide to get all of that old stuff off. And just really give it a really good scrub. Get all that old gunk off of there so that you're going to have a clean space for your new cream to go onto there. And you're going to clean all of that old stuff off. So then you can even see, like you can kind of see the discoloration on my cloth. So that's just getting rid of all of that old stuff that's on there. And I'm going to have a nice clean space to add my new stuff. So I'm going to take some of my slide lubricant. I'll show you both ways. So the slide lubricant I'm going to take, and I'm going to take the lid off of there. And it's just a little squeeze bottle. So I'm going to put a little bit of this close to the end of my slide and just kind of squeeze it, drop some on there. Kind of messy. Don't drop it on your pants. Okay. And then I would take my slide and kind of put it on and spread it around. I'm going to show you both ways though. So now with the slide cream, I'm going to open that up. I'm going to have a super slick slide now because I'm putting both on there. Just going to take a little bit on the end of my finger and I'm just going to kind of spread that. You don't need a bunch, just a little bit down both sides of my inner slide. Okay. Then I'm going to put the cap back on. Definitely less is more. You don't need a ton of slide cream or slide lubricant. Less is definitely more. So it's going to work just fine if you have a little bit on there versus a lot. Too much and it's going to kind of all build up and get gunky, so it's not going to work very well. I'm going to grab my slide. When you put your slide back together, make sure that your water key or your spit valve down here is always facing down. So you want your spit valve to be facing the floor when you put your slide back onto your trombone. Then your slide will not be upside down. So I'm going to hold my mouthpiece facing up, and my slide now I'm going to carefully line up those pieces, and I'm going to put my slide back together. Make sure your spit valve is facing down. And I'm just going to slide that up and down the whole length of my slide to move all of that lubricant around in there. And that's going to now make my slide super easy to move. When I'm playing, I can play super fast, can get to all of my slide positions very quickly. So when you're holding your trombone very quickly, you can get there very quickly, and you don't have to use a lot of force with your hand when you're moving your slide. So important thing is make sure you clean off all the old stuff first with an old cloth or an old t-shirt you could even use that you're never going to wear again. And then you're going to just put a little bit of either your slide lubricant or your slide cream onto your inner slide parts. When you put your slide back on again, make sure your spit valve is facing down towards the floor so that your slide isn't going on upside down. And then you're going to very carefully line up those pieces, put your outer slide back onto your inner slide, and then just move your slide up and down a few times to kind of spread everything around in there. And then that's going to grease up that whole length of your slide so that you're good to go when you play. If you ever have any problems, bring your trombone in and I will definitely help you out with that. It is a little bit messy, so make sure you're not doing this somewhere that you're going to make a mess and somebody's going to get angry at you for making a mess. So just make sure that you've got some towels down or paper towels or something, and then just make sure you clean up after yourself too if you do drop some on the floor so that nobody slips on it and falls. Okay, good luck greasing up your slides, trombones.